Now, there is not really a completely useless god in anime, considering they have achieved some sort of status in their lives. Even the notorious Aqua has proven her worth for the squad at times, but it's her overall goofy and carefree attitude in the everyday life that earned her the moniker of the useless water goddess. Hello and welcome back to AniWatch. Today we have brought you a list of the top 10 most useless gods and goddesses in anime. Before we begin, please take a moment to subscribe and switch on notifications so you never miss any new updates. Done? Well then, let's begin.
Amano Yukiteru, お前を選んだのは間違いではなかった。
全部うまくいってたんだよ。
Number 10, Yukiteru Amano, Future Diary. The main character of the series and the first diary user, Yukiteru, also known as Yuki, is a shy 14-year-old middle school student who gets involved in the dangerous diary game. After his meeting with Deuce, who is a godlike being, Yuki is selected as a contestant in the 90-day battle royale, where the participants must kill each other through the special diaries bestowed upon them. The winner of the battle gets to become the new heir of Deuce and the next god. Despite not wanting to get involved, he soon finds himself the main target of every other contestant who are adamant about killing our poor MC. However, he is saved by the eccentric girl named Gasai Yuno, who's madly in love with him and vows to protect him at all costs. As a matter of fact, both happen to be diary users, and by the end, the two are the only ones left alive. Yuno commits suicide by the end, which ascends Yuki into godhood. But having lost his precious one, Yuki has no meaning left to live, hence using none of his powers to do anything and closing himself to a void to suffer for eternity. I mean, he could have been God and brought Yuno back.
おやすみ。おやすみ、ユッキ。
もうじき魔界の門のご開帳よ。どうして誰も突入してこないの？このままじゃ魔界の門が。
Number 9, Nerobasta, 7 Deadly Sins. Member of the goddess clan, Nerobasta has a secret weapon used to fight the demon clan. She was a divine lance corporal of Stigma and a faithful subordinate of the Archangel Ludocial. Her hate for the demon was deep-rooted, and he wished for their eradication from the world. However, despite being strong enough to take down lesser demons with ease, she was no match for the 10 Commandments and ended up dying at their hands, eventually begging for her life. Her end was rather ironic in a way. Despite her strong resolution, she was able to achieve nothing substantial before dying, despite being a goddess expected to achieve greater feats.
Nerobasta! 私は今まで何を？
何をしている？早急に天界の門を開け。
はい。
しょうがないわね。このシロ様が甘やかされてあげるわ。存分にね。
Number 8, Shiro, Serayaki Kitsune no Senko-San. Shiro is a supporting character of the series who is initially very arrogant and wants Kuroto to be her servant, desiring him to worship Kitsunes. She is often more energetic and unpredictable than Senko and later becomes friends with both her and Kuroto. Her main goal for coming over to his house was to assist Senko in removing the darkness that enveloped Kuroto. But after trying several times, she still remained unable to figure out its true cause. Despite her great powers and abilities, she later becomes great friends with Kuroto and even shares a room with Yasuko. It doesn't take her long to forget her mission and begin enjoying the human world and spend her days lazing around.
紳士たるシロ様の力を借りるのよ。貢ぎ物の一つや二つ必要よね。
Can't let Haruhi leave. If I let her walk out that door, we'll end up reliving the past 2 weeks again and again for 1,000 more times.
Number 7, Suzumiya Haruhi, the Melancholy of Suzumiya Haruhi. A first-year student at North High School, Haruhi can be characterized as funny, energetic, and somewhat unpredictable. She is shown to have great interest in otherworldly beings such as aliens, time travelers, and Espers, and seems to have no interest in ordinary humans. With the burning desire to find such a phenomenon, she ends up creating a parallel universe where she inadvertently releases creatures who destroy everything in sight. With the ability of making things a reality just from strong willpower, as shown later in the show, Haruhi is basically godlike and is even revered by the ones who got strange powers through her. However, she herself has no idea of her powers, and continues her life in ignorance, despite things around her getting extremely chaotic at times.
Come on, it's time for a swim! I'll race ya!
Can't you see the no diving sign?
そもそも実力差というか種族差というかものが違いすぎた。それは一方的を通り越していた。
Number 6. Lukoa, Kobayashi's dragon maid. Lukoa is the Aztec dragon goddess of fertility and culture, and a dear friend of our favorite maid Toru, who sees her as a source of wisdom and keeps her in high regard. However, after she is unintentionally summoned by Shota, Lukoa starts living with him in their house. She spends her days teasing our poor Shota-kun, who always gets entrapped by her schemes. Despite being useful to others on multiple occasions, her overall attitude is extremely goofy, and her erotic body and dress earns her a reputation for it. Although this doesn't affect her one bit, as she continues to live in that fashion, with Shota-kun remaining to be her prime target for messing around and having fun with.
あ、公園は僕が戻しておくね。目撃者の記憶もいじっとく。
便利な人だな。
Number 5. Ishtar, Fate Grand Order. Known as the goddess of harvest and war and lust in Mesopotamian mythology, she is said to be the most loved and pampered deity. Her form in the anime is not that of the goddess herself, but a pseudo-servant condition in which a human who has a wavelength similar to her was made as her vessel. Her role is to watch over the world with a befitting attitude, but her personality is rather eccentric, which doesn't allow this to happen. A huge admirer of jewels, she is easily bribed by them and doesn't care how her powers are used. Ishtar is shown to be very clumsy in the entire series, and later as she ends up losing very important things, and in general, not being very useful, which earns her a spot in this list.
ちなみにこれは手付金だそうだ。
紫の冠？これを全部？
落ち着けヘスティア。神がダンジョンに潜るのは禁止事項で、だからその
バレなきゃいいんだろ？
Number 4. Hestia, Danmachi. Hestia is a kind and energetic goddess who oversees and takes care of Belle. She serves as a vital support for our MC in his quest to become the strongest adventurer, and was there for him when no one was. However, other than emotional support, she doesn't bring much to the table and is mostly useless when it comes to combat. She realizes romantic feelings for Belle in the series and tries to keep him to herself, but things do not look good for her as Belle becomes more and more popular with every passing day. Hence, the battle to become Belle's #1 begins, and Hestia, with her clumsy and eccentric personality, is not ready to give Belle up, and her interactions with the rest of the girls often end up extremely funny.
ベル君！お願いだから僕の前からいなくならないでおくれ！
これこれ、声がでかいぞ。
愛してるよ！
Number 3. Yato, Noragami. Yato is a god with a dream of one day having a shrine of his own, for which he works as a delivery god, and often charges 5 yen from his customers. It is until his fated meeting with Hiyori Iki that things start changing for him. However, retaining his bad habit of doing measly chores, his divine weapon leaves his side, calling him a useless god. And as they say, old habits die hard. He just cannot give up on it, and his dream, although not realizing that charging barely 5 yen for a job will get him nowhere. But despite that, alongside Hiyori and his new blade, Yukine, they became very close to each other, with everyone striving to achieve their goal. Yato, with his mischievous personality, ends up creating more trouble for Hiyori and Yukine, who just get tired of his clumsy and aberrant personality.
彼岸の声が聞こえるのか?
せめて入念な準備をさせてもらう。俺が納得するまでだ。
なんなのこの勇者。
Number 2, Restart. Cautious Hero. Known as the goddess of healing, Restart is assigned to save the highly dangerous world of Gay Brand. She summons our hero, Ryujuin Seiya, for the task, who happens to have a completely opposite personality to that of hers. She wants to save the world and get recognized as a great goddess as soon as possible, but comes to odds with Seiya, who happens to have an overly cautious personality. Despite that, she decides to hang on and in fact totally falls in love with the hunk of a protagonist. However, she's completely ignored and is labeled useless by him, and very often at that. In fact, she's so useless that she's beaten in healing by some random herbs, which is supposed to be her only saving grace. But she decides not to care and keeps making moves on Seiya, which often turn out extremely funny due to her clumsy personality.
これって
くらえ。アトミックスプリットスラッシュ。
Number 1, Aqua, Konosuba. She is the goddess of water who judges humans and sends them to the fantasy world, all until she is dragged into the same world by Kazuma, whom she made fun of. Guess you do reap what you sow. After getting forced into the world, they are given the task to defeat the Demon Lord, which would set Aqua free. However, with no real equipment and no source of income, both are forced to work hard from the very first day of their adventure. And finally, becoming adventurers, the duo tries to focus on their task, but Aqua only makes things worse for Kazuma due to her simple-minded personality, spending most of her skill points acquiring mere party tricks. Worse than that, she mounts huge amounts of debt which Kazuma has to pay, given she's most of the time useless in battle. Combined with her ignorant attitude, Aqua often is the literal example of a useless goddess. What do you think of this list? Do you agree with it? Disagree? Who would you call a useless god or goddess in anime? Thanks for watching. See you in the next video.